Hey everybody, it's Lucas from the Pint podcast, and I wanted to start something new on the channel since I'm such a fan of the video game series. And I just finished watching the first episode of the show. I've decided to do a beer pairing plus episode recap of the Last of Us TV show. And since the first one just dropped and it was absolutely excellent, if you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend it. And I'm going to try to stay as spoiler free as possible. But I think there's going to be some spoilers, especially if you've played the first video game. Because as somebody who's such a big fan of the series, I was very surprised and very grateful that they stayed bit for bit, essentially, for the first 30 minutes of the episode compared to the very opening sequences of the video game. And it was very refreshing to see. As somebody who has a very bad taste in their mouth left over from the last video game TV series I watched, the Halo show that came out and was absolutely awful. And when I say awful, I mean the people who made the show obviously never played a Halo video game, and they even came out on the record and said they never played a Halo video game or read a Halo book. So hard to stay close to the content if you don't know it. But you can see from this first episode that the creators really, really cared about the game, and all of the actors and actresses in the show are doing a fantastic job. I believe Joel is portrayed excellently by Pedro Pascal, and Ella Ramsey is doing a fantastic job. Bella Ramsey is doing a fantastic job as Ellie. But the beer that I decided to pair with this is 10 Layers. It's a dessert stout from Rar Brewing out of Maryland. I decided to go with this one because Joel was supposed to share in his birthday cake with his daughter, Sarah, but the end of the world happened. So he wasn't able to do so. So I decided to have this stout as kind of like what should have been. So here we go. It is very chocolatey on the nose. I'm gonna let that sit and kind of talk about the show a little bit, and then I'll come back to the beer. So pretty much the first part of the show was getting to know Joel, getting to know Sarah, and a little bit about Tommy, and showing us a glimpse of the world before, which I think is great because I was a big fan of the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, where you kind of see the outbreak happen. And I'm a big fan of the Dawn of the Dead, when they kind of show the day before leading into the day of everything falling apart and the zombie apocalypse and all that. But it was really cool to see the whole precursor. And there's some things like, oh, that lady is definitely going to come back, and this is about to be a problem. But just seeing some of the overlap from the day before and everybody kind of freaking out, and you see like helicopters and jets and cops and firefighters, and you see sirens and lights and everything's going off, and you're like, you can feel that something's happening, but nobody knows what's happening. And it's just because it looks like just another typical day, and then all of a sudden that's it, game over, the world is changing. And that whole drive sequence when they get in the truck and they're just heading into town, and you see the barn, the farmhouse on fire, and they're using exact lines from the video game and exact shots from the video game, and you're just like, I played The Last of Us Part 1 3 times. I know what's about to happen. So you're seeing everything like come to life in this world, and you're seeing like the beginning of the clickers and all that. And everything was just like, they even like run through a crappy biker bar slash diner type thing. And then he comes and stumbles across the army guy, which is absolutely just, it always, it's like a punch to the gut whenever that scene happens. And if you haven't watched it yet, highly recommend it. But waited long enough on this beer. So here we go. Ooh, that is very light. Very light. I thought this was going to be definitely heavier, especially since, I guess it's only 8%, but it has a nice, rich, chocolatey taste to it. But it's not too overwhelming on the sweetness. Oh, gave myself a little bit of mustache there. It's very delicious, and this does taste exactly like a German chocolate cake, essentially. That's what I'm getting. A lot of rich, chocolatey, and warmth behind this beer, which would have been great for Joel and Sarah to enjoy in this birthday cake. So here's to them, and I'm very excited and looking forward to the next episode of The Last of Us. Cheers.